Hello and welcome. This is Robin Wauters. I'm the founding editor of Tech.eu. And today we're going to talk about a very interesting report that just came out titled Decoding the Digital Challenge. Super interesting report that is based on a global survey done by Boston Consulting Group and a network with close to 10,000 respondents, all digital workers who shared their attitudes about remote work, job change, and what their ideal workplace should offer. Delighted to have with us today, joining remotely, of course, Nick South, who is a partner and managing director of BCG's London office, to talk more about the key findings in the report. One main takeaway is that digital workers have emerged quite healthy from the crisis of the last 2 years. They have more options than ever before, and they do know it as well. So employers should be paying attention, among other things, by reading this report. Nick, thank you again for joining us and diving into a few things from the report that deserve to be highlighted here on the Tech.eu podcast. First of all, Nick, why the focus of the survey on digital talent in the first place?
Well, thanks, Robin, and thanks for having me here. I mean, I think the interesting is every organization I talk to is wrestling with the same challenge. As they look ahead and think about the capabilities they need, it's digital talent, it's data skills, there's a whole set of things that everyone's struggling to think, how do we get these people, how do we keep them? And so everyone's wrestling with the same challenge. And we really want to look into lift the bonnet on this and really understand what's going on. How are people thinking about this? What do other companies need to understand about what these key people are thinking?
Great. Well, I've been going over the findings of the report. Super interesting stuff. One key finding for me is that London, where Nick is based, remains the top destination for digital talent who would consider moving to a city in a different country for work, with places like Amsterdam and Berlin also ranked in the top 5. Nick, can you comment on London's attractiveness for digital workers in particular?
Yeah, no, I would highlight, first of all, London is first, but there's a lot of cities there, similarly attractive. Singapore second, Amsterdam third, as you say, Berlin fourth. And what all these cities have in common is they're sort of creating those ecosystems of companies and organizations and places where people can see long-term career opportunities and communities of like-minded people. So London is one of those, but so are others. And I think in London's case, if you look at something like fintech, for example, in the last 5 years, 50% of the fintech investment in Europe has been into London. And so you've got this sort of emergence of all these companies that are interconnected and people can see those career paths. And it's just really exciting for people to think that's the sort of place I want to be if I want to build a career in this space.
Great. And what does the situation mean for technology startups and scale-ups? Is it an opportunity for them to attract digital talent, or are they also at risk from an employer's perspective?
Yeah, I think it's interesting. I think there's obviously different ends of the spectrum. So at one end of the spectrum, you've got companies like Facebook and Amazon and Google. And at the other end of the spectrum, you've got tech startups and unicorns. And both of those have clearly got a real benefit in the sense that they are digital natives. This is the heart of what they are. And so people looking to work in this space think those people understand the way I want to work. I think it's a bit more challenging for the many organizations in between, very established companies that absolutely need the same talent, but they've really got to think hard about what their proposition is in terms of exciting work, chance to work on really interesting problems, career paths. What do they offer in terms of flexibility? And I think for those companies in the middle, between the startups and the big established tech, that's a real important nut to crack.
And what about larger organizations? How should they deal with the situation as outlined by the report as they're going through digital transformations of their own?
Yeah, I think they have to really think hard about what is our proposition here for digital talent. I mean, a lot of them have got really fantastic brands. They've got the chance for people to work on some really interesting nutty problems, actually, and they've got a chance to give people different exposures and different experiences. But they've really got to think hard about how they turn that into a compelling story for people and say, look, this is what we can offer you. And by the way, on the whole question of flexibility, we're prepared to evolve the way we work to work in a way that you're looking for. So I think those companies in the big multinationals and so on have got a lot to offer, but they've got to think about how they engage with digital talent to show them what that can look like.
What about the digital talent itself? How can they position themselves to benefit from the current environment?
Yeah, well, I think you said right at the start, Robin, these are scarce skills, they're really important skills, and there's a lot of competition for those skills, and everyone knows it, and they know it. And so actually, I think if you're a digital talent, think about what you want. What is important for you in your career? What's the sort of work you want to be doing over the next couple of years, the next 3 years? How does an organization help you do that? And for the things that are important to you, whether it's a company's approach to environmental responsibility or diversity inclusion. I mean, 50% of the people we surveyed said, I wouldn't even consider a company if their values on those things don't match my own. But, look at the places and say, that's the sort of place where I'd feel happy, I'd feel aligned with what they're trying to do, and they'll give me some great opportunities to build my skill base for the future.
Great. Well, thank you so much, Nick, for joining us today to talk about the key findings in the Decoding the Digital Challenge report, which, of course, we'll link to in the show notes. It's a very interesting read as far as I'm concerned. Thank you again, Nick, for sharing your insights, and have a great rest of the year.
And thanks very much for having me. You too. Bye.